Hello. In this video, I'll explain to you some best practices relating to how to apply a service pack to an existing Enterprise Vault server. We'll cover pre-work that should be done before any kind of binaries are installed, and we'll cover the post-installation work which should be done to validate that the upgrade was successful and that the environment is functional. So, when would you apply a service pack to Enterprise Vault? Is it because you want some of the new features that are in the service pack? Do you have an issue that a service pack is known to fix? Or would you just apply the service pack in order to be up to date? These are the questions that you need to address for your environment. In addition, you would also consider when to apply the service pack. Would you do this straight after the service pack has been released? Or would you wait a little while to see whether any issues appear with the service pack? Usually, it doesn't take a very long time to actually apply the service pack, but the pre- and post-testing stages are the ones that take much longer. A quick note as well, keep it simple. Many people decide to do multiple things as well as the Enterprise Vault service pack installation. This should be discouraged. If something breaks, it will be difficult to determine what caused it, whether it was the service pack or the additional changes. Keep things simple, apply the EV service pack, and that's all. One of the first things that you should do is to run the deployment scanner specifically from the service pack media. It will give a good outline of any problems that might lie ahead. Each release and service pack of Enterprise Vault sees changes in detection and identification of issues, and these get built into Deployment Scanner. It's not foolproof though, but it's still definitely worth doing at the early stages. On this screen you can see the output of Deployment Scanner on one of my systems, just to give you an idea of what it might look like. One of the other crucial things to do is to review the compatibility guide. Make sure you get the latest guide and then walk through it comparing all of your inventory with the guide. Make sure you touch on operating systems, Exchange versions and service packs, storage devices, SQL Server versions, and so on. The next thing to do is to decide what your baseline testing is going to incorporate. This slide gives you some examples. Each customer's baseline activities might vary, but at least you can check if you can search an archive or two, that Vault Cache synchronizes, retrieval of archive items works, and so on. Use the list on this slide and the next as a guide, and extend it to other things that you might want to check, because you know your environment best. Also ensure that there are no errors or warnings in the event log that you don't understand. Ensure there are no outstanding support issues, unless you're applying this service pack specifically to fix them. Whatever testing you decide to do, make sure that you document what testing you are doing and the results that you expect and the results that you actually get when you do them. All of that work on the previous slides will be done much before the day or time that you actually come to do the service pack. When you are ready to do it, you need to put Enterprise Vault in backup mode. This is the Vault stores and indexes. Then you need to do backups of both EV and SQL. It's preferred to do these backups to disk, even if you normally use tape. You do them to disk so that the speed of recovery is fastest. With the Enterprise Vault backups, make sure that you do the Vault stores, the indexes, and system state. Once you've done the full Enterprise Vault backups, wait for the watch file table to clear down. All of the Enterprise Vault documentation always says to wait for this table to be just about as clear as it can be, because this makes the upgrade simpler and faster. The installation is probably the simplest part, provided you've done the prep work we've just been discussing. It's an idea though to be on site if you can. Doing the work from home might seem like a great idea, But if a problem arises and you have hundreds of children running around, the problem's likely to take much longer to resolve. If you are working remotely, it's worthwhile ensuring that you have other people in your team and associated teams on hand in case of a problem. For example, make sure that you have an Exchange person, a SQL person, and an Active Directory person, all aware of what you're doing and when, in case you need their help. The actual installation is very well documented in the Enterprise Vault documentation, so it's always worth going through that step by step, because the different service packs sometimes require a few different steps. Generally speaking, the installation is a simple matter of clearing backup mode, stopping the Enterprise Vault services, applying the update, and then checking and restarting any services that the service pack didn't. You would then move into your testing stage. Testing that the update was successful is a matter of redoing the tests in the baseline that you developed earlier. You'd also review the event logs. If possible, it's also worth validating with real, rather than virtual, end users to make sure they too can access the environment and perform their normal operations. In case of a problem, you need to think about what you're going to do. It might be that you roll back. It might be that you simply call semantic support and explain the problem that you've got. Or you might start your own troubleshooting. It's difficult to give an exact thing that you should do in case of a problem, because the problem is more likely to be unique to the environment. But it's always worthwhile having a think before you start the upgrade what you will do if a problem appears. Our installation steps above covered some of the basics of what needs to be done in a single server Enterprise Vault environment, but many Enterprise Vault environments have several servers in them. To apply a service pack to this type of environment is not that much more difficult than a single server. But you have to remember that the service pack has to be applied to every server in the environment. The services can then be restarted slowly following the upgrade. And by that I mean one server at a time. As each server comes online, review its event logs and then re-review the other server's event logs cumulatively as you go along through the servers. It also means that the pre- and post-testing needs to include these different servers too, which is likely to mean it will take a longer time to do the tests. Documenting the results of the tests can also take a little bit longer. Service packs in Enterprise Vault are the full product. If implementing Enterprise Vault for the first time, you can just install EV 10.0.4. You can also go from, for example, 10 base to 10.0.1, or you can go from 10 base straight to 10.0.4. It's worth noting that in the upgrade guide and compatibility charts, there are sometimes restrictions in jumping between service packs, especially if you jump from a service pack to the next major version. So it's worth checking these guides if that is the sort of service pack installation you have to do. In summary then, applying a service pack to an existing Enterprise Vault server is usually a pretty quick process. That is to say, the actual process of installing the binaries and starting the services post-upgrade is quick. The success, though, depends on performing adequate pre- and post-upgrade testing. It's no good discovering something broken post-upgrade, blaming the upgrade, when in fact it was broken long before you ever went to do the upgrade. I hope that this run-through of how to apply an Enterprise Vault service pack is useful to you. Thank you. Goodbye.